So welcome everyone to Above Art Studios. This is our resolutions and color exhibition. End of the year, we'll do the same thing every year, and most people come up with resolutions, which are short-lived typically, from the time of inception to the time of expiration is usually somewhere within a couple of months at most. So what I wanted to do was actually do a combination of reflecting on where we've been to where we are now, and kind of a way to appreciate and just become aware when you try to pinpoint, your growth. Sometimes we don't notice it because we're going through it. So other people on the outside might be able to see it, but for us to appreciate it, sometimes we have to describe it and acknowledge it. So one of the combination of reflecting on the journey that we've come across and actually setting these goals, coming up with strategies to execute them, and then that way we can actually see some differences and continue to grow. So I wanted the artists to give me their interpretations of that for this exhibition. So I have a couple of grandstanding artists up here with me today, and we're just gonna talk a little bit about these pieces that they have here. Y'all cool with that? All right. So please, first and foremost, if you can, just introduce yourselves, please.
My name is Makai Dominique, PG County, DC area, self-taught artist.
And my name is Cortez. I'm a New Jersey-based artist, and I call my artwork esoteric urbanism.
Nice. And Cortez only got one name, like Leon. So, that's how you know they're gonna be big. They only got one name, Prince. It's one name. They probably head in the right direction. So how long have you guys been sharing your art?
I've been doing artwork since I can remember, ever since I can remember. As far as selling artwork and being a professional artist, I graduated from the Newark School of Fine and Industrial Arts in '92 and been working hard ever since.
Okay.
Same. I've always been a visual artist since I could write, but I took painting seriously 2 years ago, and it was from the encouragement from my peers. They were like, "Can you sell something? Like, what's going on?" And so I just literally took a leap of faith, and after the response of my first release of paintings, I was like, "Oh, okay, I could really do this," and continue. And so we're here today.
Okay. So how did that transition look for you?
It very stagnant. For example, when I first started creating paintings, I made like I want to say 10 or 11 small paintings, and then I did everything via Instagram. Hey y'all, I got these paintings. If you like them, here's my website. I'm dropping at this time, this day. And then literally the next day, I sold out all of my paintings. Shout out to my best friend for being my first purchase, and my mama being all my purchases. But yeah, from people, like different family members and friends from different parts of the state purchased paintings. And after that, I said, okay, I'm gonna do another 10. And then sold out of those 10. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it again. And so I just kept like pushing myself. Like, if I could do it the first time, I can do it the second time. All right, did the second time, I'm gonna do it a third time. And so it's been through like that, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And Cortez, your style. Tell us about the evolution of your style since your journey.
It's funny, we celebrated 50 years of hip hop this year, and I would say hip hop was my first not introduction to artwork, but first time thinking I really want to do something with it, you know, something different. So I was seeing graffiti art. A brother by the name of Patrick Grain was in an art class of mine, and he did graffiti. He went by Too Nasty, and he was one of the first artists outside of my family that I saw, you know, doing artwork. Growing up, my father was like an amateur artist. He always doodled. He was a scientist, and he would do these abstract paintings or drawings, and I would see him doing that from the time I was little on up to, you know, high school. And my mom was one of those people who would always bring me to galleries and things like that. So I always had the arts in the house. And you know, when your parents push something, you kind of like, you know. And when I saw it out in the street and in hip hop, that made me really want to do it. And so, I always took art classes. Always was, for that matter, art is what got me out of high school. It was just always there. And as far as my style, it evolved from looking at pop art. The first people I was looking at was like Warhol. Trying to think of who else. Warhol, Basquiat, Keith Haring was a big influence. And when I started seeing Keith Haring and footage of him creating the artwork, that really inspired me because he was very spontaneous with it. I like to be spontaneous with my art. I don't do too much of that sitting in front of a blank canvas. I just kind of hit it. And it just comes from, you know, always doodling, always working on paper. So when you get to this level with the canvas, it just kind of happens. It just kind of flows. And there was another artist, Rauschenberg, who introduced me to collage. And so by the time I got to college, I used to audit this guy, Ted Bonavito's class, and he would kind of guide me in a direction. And my art instructors always spoke about creating your own style because they saw how I was mimicking other people, another artist. They said, you know, you need to develop your own style. So by the time I got to college, that was when I was like consciously trying to think of my own style. For a hot second there, I was doing this thing called Afropunk, before Afropunk. I was calling myself Afropunk because I had a very eclectic taste in music, and music was a big influence. So from all of that, I'm a product of the MTV age. So how they used to do the videos creatively, they would just kind of do a mosh podge of images and then throw music behind it. So as I'm growing up watching that, it kind of filtered into my artwork. So more or less, even now with this piece, this was an old piece that I did in 2020, and I painted over it. And back in the day, I used to call what I used to do like visual samples, because it was like hip hop, taking bits and pieces of different elements of pop culture, you know, politics or whatever's going on, and throwing it into a painting. And now I'm kind of reverting back to my old style. And you're talking about New Year's resolutions. So one of my resolutions was to be more expressive and illustrating what I'm feeling instead of going outward. And so this piece is really personal. So it has a lot of subliminal elements and stuff that's, you know, kind of obvious, but a lot of subliminal stuff in there.
We'll get back to that piece in a minute. Okay. So, how did you develop your style?
My style was similar to your father's doodling. I always doodled to get to fight my way through high school. Like senior year, let's go. I ain't trying to be here no more. So to kill time, I would just doodle. Honestly, it started from me trying to draw portraits. like realistic portraits. I really found like I really wanted to be more realistic in just drawing. And then after a while, I got really tired of my drawings not being symmetrical. Like the face, I would have like one side looking good, but the other side would be like lopsided. Like the person didn't look like one person. And so I just started strengthening one side of the face. And then I got lazy with it, which then turned into literally just lines, which is my style now, which is just line art with facial features. And with that, I was like, okay, well, now that I have this specific style, what are like some of my, I guess, desires? I love beauty marks. I don't know what it is about moles. I love moles, so all of my paintings have moles on, or beauty marks on them. All of them have nice arched eyebrows like mine. And I also put a lot of detail in the eyes because I love eyes. Something about just the eye itself is like I see everything. The eye is so vulnerable, and I love lips. I love like just my personal just my black features I'm obsessed with. And so I just emphasize that in my work as well. And so I just call my paintings features because they're literally facial features just developed in different ways. And whatever I'm speaking through, I express it through those features. We all have, I think that we are all different, come from different places. We all look different. Race, religion, class, it doesn't matter. But at some point, we all like want the same things, maybe different things, but like common things like love, we all want. Respect, we all want. A heartbeat, a genuine heartbeat, we all have. So just little things that connects us all. I make sure to express that in my art to make sure like you ain't alone, girl. Like we may look different, but I feel you. Yeah.
So now talking to you, a lot of it makes sense.
Mhm.
All right. This is why you need stuff like this, right? To make that connection. Particularly if you're looking for collectors, these are the things that they need to hear, that they need to know, so they can connect, so they can collect, right? Connect to collect.
That's a t-shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a freestyle.
T-shirt.
Yes. So a little bit about these pieces that you have, and Makai's work is right under the Bell Art Studio as soon as you come in. So it's on your left right here, right now, turn around. Both of those pieces have Bloom and the title. Why is that?
So the first painting is huge. It's the 36 by 48. I called it Blooming Blues. And so it's my interpretation of my year of 2023. A lot of crying, a lot of shedding, a lot of stillness, a lot of just letting go to move on. At a time where it was very needed, even though I wasn't ready. And because of that, being very vulnerable with myself allowed me to really see like, girl, you low-key blossoming and don't even realize it. And really just my faith in God has strengthened, and let me tell you, my faith has been put in, my faith is stronger than ever because of this year. And so Blooming Blues was just a reflection of me literally shedding, letting go, crying, but at the same time, I'm literally watering myself and growing from that. So that's Blooming Blues, the black one. And then the other one I have, I'm not sure what the size is. It's called, what's it called?
What's it called?
Oh, Pika Bloom. It's called Pika Bloom because I finally recognized the flowers that have been like growing inside and giving that to myself. So I'm really hard on myself, and I was like, you know what? We're not gonna keep doing this. We want to give ourselves the flowers that we deserve, that we worked hard for, and acknowledging that. And so that was the second piece that was inspired. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed both of those had those in there, so I just wanted to see, what was behind that as well too. So
Yeah. Growing, blossoming into the young woman that I see myself becoming. It's beautiful. And she deserves her flowers, so we're gonna create some flowers.
nice. So Cortez, you have a unique style. Colors is definitely prevalent, in your art, no matter what the subject matter is. Out of all the pieces you could have chosen to bring for this one, why did you do this one?
I only showed this one at a pop-up in the city, and the response was very good. And personally, I thought the painting was very strong and spoke to how I felt in response to the outline of the show. Also, this is me being a little bit vulnerable in a sense. I went through a major breakup, and this was letting it all out. And then at the same time, not to dwell on the relationship, just around the world, just things going on, just makes me want to holler. And again, reverting back to a style that I would do when I was younger, where I kind of hit the canvas and it isn't as calculated. And I kind of like that, again, spontaneity with artwork. I recently did a show at the Newark Museum, and that piece was very much calculated. And I wouldn't go as far as saying it was contrived, but I think this is more of a challenge to do than the other piece. The other piece was called Pride, and it was just a field of red, black, and green with a face over top of it with headphones on. And because it's very much easily identified, it's a strong graphic piece. And I think it's easy for people to connect to. Something like this is a little harder to convey a single message. There's a lot of messages going on. And I'm a complicated person at times, and I like showing that side of it.
Okay, yeah, so that was definitely intentional, because I was trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I'm just like, I think this is not supposed to make sense. I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. So, but everything individually fits. So the elements that might tie it all together being some things that you might not have revealed in your story, or anybody that just comes across it might not be aware of, or some of the pieces that might be missing. But even without those, is definitely a standout piece. So definitely glad you now I don't know what you had underneath it. You said you painted over it.
It was a painting called Amoeba.
Okay.
Very simplistic. Again, it was more abstract, but no wording. And it was just, that was another thing. I mentioned my father earlier. All throughout my career, up until I would say my father's death, which was about 5 years ago, I always accredited my mother for my creative abilities and inspiration. My mother was always the one to bring the art books home. She was the one to have, Metropolitan Home magazine, bring me to the galleries and, that sort of thing. And I remember also as a kid, my mom would buy artwork and hide it from my father. So she would go into the city, put down payments on stuff.
Okay.
And then, we'd walk around the city. And so I was one of those kids that's always by my mom's side. And so I'm running around this gallery not realizing that she's there to make a payment. And then we go get some food and, you know, and so that was, you know, very telling. And then to not mention my father throughout most of my career, I thought it was kind of weird. And on my father's deathbed, we would do watercolors and, you know, talk and everything. I asked my dad, you know, how come as a kid, or even as an adult, you never said, you know, well, what about me? You know, because my father was the one doing things like, my parents used to get mangoes and eat mangoes at the kitchen table, you know, hands all messy, face, and I used to see the seeds, and because the seeds looked nasty to me, I never ate mangoes up until I was like older, right? But my father would take the mango seeds, dry them out, and make mobiles, and they'd be in the by his workbench in the basement, just, you know, floating around, and I would say, you know, what's this? He says, it's art, you know. He would do things like go to scrap metal places and buy pieces of scrap metal and do the same thing, like have them hanging around the workbench. Never understood it, but then later on it all clicked. And so on his deathbed, he said, I was always there. I never needed to remind myself or you what I did. I was always there. And, you know, as a parent, I get it now, you know. And I told him, I had the opportunity to tell him, well, from this point on, I'm gonna give you your flowers. And he died like 2-3 days later, you know. But, and we always had this, a weird relationship. My father was very conservative. And as you see, I'm not, you know. So my father and I would bump heads all the time. And then until I got kids, until, you know, I got a little older, and then we lived with each other for a little bit, I really got to know him, and I was like, wow, you're all right, you know. And he was always there for me, always supported me. And the way he inspired or influenced my artwork, he would always say, you know how you go through those stages when you're a kid, and the guys, there's only a couple guys here, but remember that stage when you were a kid where you would hang up the models on the wall, you know? So as an artist, I would draw like models and stuff like that, and then he caught me with some pornography and was afraid I was gonna go that route with the art. And he saw a couple of my sketchbooks, I was going that route. So he said, you know, you wanna do art that you could look yourself in the mirror with. You might not understand it now, but if you do a picture of a naked woman in a certain position, how are you gonna explain that to your mother? How are you gonna explain that to your sister? Or for that matter, anybody else? And then you're only gonna be able to be put in certain arenas because of the content of your work. So he made me very conscious about that. And I get it now. In the early stages of my career, I put a lot of things in there that was subliminal, you know, phallic symbols, you know, body parts, you know, just to shock people and to piss him off. Even my, this doesn't show it, but my, I'm known for these faces. And all my faces would have these very exaggerated lips and everything. And I did it more so to piss off my father, because my brother grew up in Jim Crow, and father grew up in Jim Crow South. So when he saw those paintings, he was like, kind of reminds me of them Sambo paintings and stuff like that. So I would go in further on that because it would piss him off. And then, you know, you realize the power of what you do, you know, and so I shifted. And everybody goes through those stages, I believe, in some shape, form, or fashion, you know, even as far as dress, you know, I'll piss my parents off, you know, just to make a creative statement that spoke to me, you know. Yeah. And so with the art, the same thing, so, yeah, it's interesting.
You gotta keep your parents on their toes sometimes, you gotta test them.
I even had a painting, no, actually it was an etching, and it was two women arm in arm, and I called it lesbians. And my mother was like, why you gotta be so controversial, you know? And I was like 19 at the time. And so I changed the painting to Sisters. And she said, well, what's the story behind it? I said, well, the one with the bald head has cancer, and the other sister's consoling her. And later on, my mother passed from cancer. And that was one of the things. She spent a lot of money on that etching, getting it framed and everything. And I still have that piece. I'll never get rid of that piece. And but at the same time, doing a painting now called Lesbians would have a different, you know, kind of a different meaning than say back then. That was like 83 when I did that painting.
It was Lesbians then though.
Well, no, it was but my parents, even though my mother was the first person that I knew as an advocate, you know, but it was controversial to them. And they knew I was doing it just to piss them off. You know.
So you didn't change the piece at all, you just changed the title?
I just changed the title. Now it's for
Yeah.
Mom.
That's cool, that's cool. Did the audience have any questions for artists?
What do you see in your future?
I see a lot, and it looks good. So the first thing I see in my future, I see myself having my own art show in DC. It'll be all of the works that I'm currently working on that's all about rebuilding. The second thing I see in my future is I would really like to have a gallery for kids, because I grew up in the arts as well, literally from birth, from pre-K, performing arts, pre-K school, performing arts elementary school, performing arts high school, college, literally arts all my life. And I see myself having something for the kids, because I was one of them. And it would be, I feel like it would be, like I would have to do it just to give back to my younger self too, like do that for yourself. I also see myself collaborating with my favorite brands. Like I love Fenty, as I'm showcasing her right now. So if me and Riri can get together and create something, I would love that. I also love juicing. My mom introduced me to juicing, and so partnering with local shops in DC and creating artwork based off of their drinks. Just a lot of collaborating with local businesses within my city. I would love to do, because I grew up there, I was immersed there. Why not give back with my gifts, which is my art? And yeah, of course, being around the world. I'm a world traveler, love traveling, would love to continue to do that. A goal of mine was to potentially be in Tate Modern. It's in London. If I could be in Tate Modern somehow, some way, I am the happiest girl alive. But yeah, those are a few. I can't give you all my things, but those are a few that I would love to see myself do, for sure.
That's cool. And myself, I've been doing a lot of collaborations with music artists, and I'm also a DJ, so I see myself doing more multimedia stuff. Film is definitely something I want to do, and work and collaborate with other creatives who I admire, and the music industry and the DJ world. I love DJing. If I could give up everything and just DJ, I would do that. But I think the art will outlast that. So, just collaborating with individuals that I admire. I used to have aspirations of being in museums and all that kind of stuff. I don't have that anymore. I just want to create and would like to be self-sufficient with my art and travel and do my music. That's it.
What kind of music?
House and hip hop.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, yes.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.